Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Amani na baraka. Amani na baraka. Um, my title for this video today is gonna be um trying to get to a point where we overlooking, or not so much overlooking, but not putting too much emphasis on suspect and suspect and 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 motherfucking detainee or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Suspect and victim. Well, we ain't putting emphasis on the suspect and victim things. And instead just right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I got a story um from personal experience or whatever, and I want to give it to y'all. And you know what I'm saying? I'm giving it to y'all from the viewpoint of not just bringing awareness, but just trying to see and get y'all to ask yourself, what would you do if it was you? Type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, um, at a library with my kids, um, specifically the kids I'm with are my friends' kids, my homegirls' kids. It's two kids, ages 4 and 6. These are girls. Um, and by the way, I'm calling them my kids because not that they're literally my kids, but if these kids are being left in my care and my custody, they're my kids. You know what I'm saying? That's my mindset. That's how I'm looking at it. Um, so yeah, at a library with my girls, um, and the librarian guy. It's a librarian there. It's a guy. Happens to be a guy. He's there. Um, he's he's a librarian. So at the end of the day, it's his job to interact to a certain degree and to um if you got a question or something like that, to be able to, give a solution. Like you might need something and he or she might go and grab it for you, whatever. A book, a DVD, a tape, whatever's there. Um, might be signing up for a program or whatever. That's what they're there for. So um yeah, so this particular librarian, this guy, he's new. He's new there. I'm a regular. I'm used to going often with my kids and stuff like that. Um, you know, um, so this particular day, this was probably like my second occasion of seeing this guy there or whatever. This was like my second occasion of seeing this guy there. Now, the first time I seen him there, and he worked there, he's a librarian. Keep that in mind. Um, Now, the first time I seen him there, I was actually with my daughter, my biological daughter. You know what I'm saying? And we went through like similar scenarios. Um, but fast forwarding, so I'm there with the girls and stuff like that. And the librarian is overly interacting with my kids, with my girls, the guy. So I'll give you an example. So what will happen is I'll be in one area with the girls and stuff like that. Um, and I'll leave them like doing a certain activity or whatnot, or playing the game. And what I'll do is I might walk around, shoot a text message or something like that, or walk around, look something up on Google or something like that in my phone, curiosity stuff like that. Um, Something quick, but still attentive, and still got the kids in eyes view. Um, So what happened was, um, every time I leave them in a setting and leave them doing whatever it was that they was doing before I walked off, you know, I would be looking from afar and I would see the librarian guy walking them off somewhere, like doing something with them. Like he's walking them off. They might be doing a treasure hunt because they do stuff like treasure hunts where they walk around and look for things. Um, and sometimes the kids can't find everything, so they ask for clues and stuff like that. So the kids do ask questions and stuff like that, and they definitely be needing a lot of help at times. And parents might be in the phone like me or doing something. Um, or parents might just want them to be independent and go and do it on their own. Or parents might actually help if asked. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, moving along. Um, Basically, when I leave the kids in one area doing one thing, I would come back, or I would be looking, and librarian guy taking them basically out of my sight. You know what I'm saying? Um, and he taking them out of my sight, and he doing, I can't see what's going on, but I do know that it's related to, the whatever questions they probably asked or whatever. But that's not really the point. The point is constantly happening. So what I would do is I would go back after this happened, because might not want to say nothing because you don't want to offend no person or nothing like that. And they work there, so it's their job or whatever. So happened once, so happened twice. So as you can imagine, happened a third time. So as you can probably imagine even more, happened a fourth time, then by the fifth time, then by the sixth time, then by the seventh time, then by the eighth time. Serious. So what I'm getting at is every time I go over in the setting and I make sure they're doing one thing, 2 minutes later he got them doing another. Now I have logic, reason, and understanding. So I'm saying that to say this. I do understand that kids have a very, very short attention span. So you might leave them doing one thing, but it don't mean that they're gonna be doing that one thing for long. I get that. But in this particular scenario, I feel like it's a scenario where um he's imposing his will. He's imposing his will. So it kind of flashed me back to where I was with my daughter initially the first time, and I felt like he was doing the same thing, like imposing his will with my baby and stuff like that. I had my daughter doing one thing and stuff like that, and next thing you know, like this is my kid, so I do know her likes and dislikes, even though I am still getting to know her. Don't know everything about her because she's still growing and learning and evolving into a little human. Um, but yeah, man, it's just the imposing the will aspect. It was very uncomfortable with me. You know what I'm saying? Extremely uncomfortable with me. So I'll go in depth with one of the scenarios. I can go with the one with my daughter first. So my daughter might be um doing a puzzle, or she might be doing something like um doing a treasure hunt, which I mentioned before. So she might be doing a treasure hunt. So, I'm the type of father and I'm the type of individual, you know, um, I like our kids to be like independent, but I do like to offer them help too, so that they get a sense of how things go and so that they know how to do things correctly. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can let kids do things and they might not be doing it correctly, but they doing the thing you asked them to do or the thing you left them doing. So it is important to show them how to do things correctly. You know, so I like to let my kids be independent. know what I'm saying? And if you need to ask me a question, always feel comfortable, always feel free to do that. So left my daughter doing one thing, doing the treasure hunt, you know, um, and kids get over on people too. So, you know, my daughter probably knowing me, she probably went around me like, I'm not gonna ask dad, I'm gonna go and ask the librarian instead or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because these is like people you can take advantage of in a sense. It's almost like um, you going to watch somebody's kids versus them watching their own kids. The kids more than likely will try to run game on you. They'll try to take advantage of you. They'll try to ask you to allow them to do all the things that they parent initially or normally wouldn't allow them to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say taking advantage. So my daughter was going to him asking questions and stuff like that. And typically, follow me though, but typically what the librarians do, the female librarians do, is they give clues. They will give clues. So they'll say something like, if you're looking for anything to do with the treasure hunt, always look high or always look low. They give clues. Or go over there, look on the bridge, or down that way. They give clues. You know what I'm saying? Now, their last resort would be something like going over there with the kid. But even as they're going over there with the kid, you know what I'm saying, they wouldn't be like going out their way, doing nothing out the usual in my book. Um, the usual being distance and space is respected, like they're not being taken far away from their parents' eyesight, is what I mean. By out the usual. Um, and the librarians are not imposing a will or nothing like that. The female librarians, they're not imposing a will. Um, you know, if anything, they trying to see what the kids is interested in and build from there with them. If anything, and I get it. Sometimes people fake the funk. They don't even really be wanting to play with your kid. You know what I'm saying? But because it's their job, they might fake the funk and be like, all right, well, I don't want to make the kid feel bad, but so um, those are some of the scenarios I seen the guy doing with my kid or whatever. Yeah, like imposing his will and stuff like that, and trying to insinuate things to make me feel guilty as a dad, like oh hey, maybe dad'll help you, stuff like that, like the reverse psychologies and stuff like that, to where it kind of puts you in like a bind to where it's like, okay, if I don't respond right to this, then now it's like telling the kid no. But sometimes it's okay to be straightforward and be like, yeah, you know what you're doing, or yeah, you got it, or you got this. You know what I'm saying? But still, what I'm addressing is the reverse psychology aspect of it. And why even make these type of comments type of thing, because the truth of it is you really don't care to be playing with the kids anyways, because you think the parents should be doing it, whether you're right or wrong. You think the parents should be doing it, but it's not your place to say that, just like it ain't your place to be trying to kick the, you know what I'm saying, fake the funk. So now fast forwarding, I let those moments slide. Those moments happen several times. The imposing the will thing. um Now, fast forward, and now that I got my friends' kids with me, like I said, um, different scenarios with her kids happen with the same guy about 6, 7, 8 times. I'm tell you no lie, 6, 7, 8 times. I let it slide. I let it pass. I give you an example of it real quick. Um, one of the one of the one of the moments or occasions, um, he suggested that one of my kids get on the computer. Now, this is why I'm saying imposing your will. He suggested that one of them get on the computer. He let one of the girls get on the computer, hooked it up for him and stuff like that. Now they not too computer savvy or whatnot, or they new to it. So They need to ask questions and stuff like that, and there be times and moments where they need help, stuff like that. So um, I'm watching all of this from a distance and stuff. I'm close by. I'm close by, but we different. We don't the culture I come from and the community I come from, we're different. Like we teach our kids differently. Like we ain't so quick. We ain't so on the come here, Jojo, a little Tommy. We don't like we're extremely serious about our kids, but we don't need them right next to us every minute, every moment, every you know what I'm saying? That had kids when they get older disrespecting you and you know what I'm saying, not really having no respect for you and just it take away their independence or whatever. It do a lot of different things. So she's on a computer. She had a point where she need help or whatever the case. Again, I'm watching from a distance. So at this point, I needed to either go to the bathroom or get a drink of water, one or the other. So I'm walking past the computer where they at, and as I'm walking past, the guy do the reverse psychology insinuation thing. Listen to me. Listen to the words I speak. So he do the reverse psychology insinuation thing again. As I'm walking past the computer, he like, maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help. Let's see if that'll help. Maybe that'll help. He's right here. As I'm walking past, maybe that'll help. He's right here. All right. I gave it a pass. Gave it a pass. I entertained it as far as, um, sat with my kid or whatever, or seeing what it is that they needed help with. Mind you, this like the seventh, eighth time of one of these situations. Um, um, Next scenario, um, charging my phone up. I'm about, I say about 11 feet, 11 to 12 feet away from my kid, charging my phone up. I say 15 feet top or max away from my kid. That's the distance. As I'm charging the phone up. Um, so the librarian guy, um, he's looking in my direction and he's talking to my kid um, while they're doing another activity. I think it was like back to the computer thing again. Like for like somehow they end up going back to the computer. Out of all of the other things she did in the other scenarios, this was one that led back to the computer. It was many different times where he imposed, where she was doing different things, whether it's playing a game, playing with the toys, a puzzle, whatever, doing a search, many different times. But in this instance, it was back to the computer thing again. Because I don't want to make the computer thing sound repetitive or redundant. Like, well, if you knew it was gonna be like, he steady insinuating things about the computer thing, why not just take charge and just be there so you don't gotta deal with the frustration of him running the mind games and him making the comments. It wasn't like that. Um, Again, it was him imposing his will. That's how she got back to the computer. He kept taking her there. I guess that probably was one of the things that kept her attention span the longest. Um, you know, um, that's just me and my fair judgment. Um, Even though I think the video game was keeping her attention span the longest. So she do that. Um, so while they back at the game and stuff like that, when they at the computer, um, yeah, he's like, um, another insinuation. He's like, yeah, um, let's see what Dad think about this. Yeah, let's something of that sort, like something like, yo, let's see what Dad think about this, or um, um, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact words, but it was an insinuation to where he tried to dismiss the fact that I was right there. He tried to like act like I wasn't right there. He was like, isn't that your dad? Oh yeah, that's what it was. It was like, yo, isn't that your dad over there? Um, yeah, isn't your dad right there? I don't know. Let's go see what he says or something like that. So that right there, that felt dismissive. It felt dismissive because first and foremost, what do you mean? Oh, it was a I think that's your dad right there. What do you mean you think? You already know who I am and you know that's what I am. What do you mean you think? Like these insinuations. That's my point exactly. I think that's your dad over there. It's like insinuating. I think you should go and ask him. I think that's your dad right there. The insinuations, man. Come on, man. The reverse psychology again. So, um, at this point, because I'm not just a nuthead, I can be one, but I'm not a nuthead. I like to use my brain. I like to use my mind. I like to use my logic over my emotions. And I believe that's what emotional intelligence is. So, um, being that this was like the ninth time, I actually counted. After a while, I started counting. That's why I keep saying seventh, eighth, ninth time. Um, um, now that it's at this point, I'm like, all right, man, let me talk to this guy. Let me have a word with him. You know what I'm saying? Let him know how I feel or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But not in an aggressive manner or nothing like that. Just to pull up. I mean, we human beings, ain't we? Um, we all need to pull up every now and again. And I don't think nobody bridge is too big for a pull up. So, first and foremost, before I get to that, she came over um this particular reason right here. It wasn't a reason that really ticked me off or nothing like that. It was just the boiling point. But this one had good reason to say, all right, go to your father. I think the approach was just wrong. Um, one of the kids was hungry. One of the girls was hungry. We already had food there for him and stuff like that. But she was hungry, and I guess she told the guy, and you know how kids do. Kids do things that kids do. And sometimes you'll ask, well, why did you do that? But you know, they're kids. You know what I'm saying? So you can expect that. Um, so I guess she told the guy she was hungry or something of that sort. So um, I go in, so they come back and tell me and stuff like that. After I asked her what was the problem, after he did them insinuations, and she was like, "Well, I'm hungry." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, no problem. All right, I'll take you in the room in a second over there because they got an eating area and stuff like that." Um, so I'm like, "All right, I'll take you over there in the area, get you fed up and stuff like that. Cool." So before I did that, I went over and I addressed the librarian guy. Went over there and I addressed him. Now, I know people will probably ask, well, why didn't you address the first time you felt some type of way, or the second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, etc. when you felt some type of way? So, um, I'm not one of those people who typically believe that it's good to um, explode in the moment of rage, explode in rage in the moment, right then and there, right in the heat of the moment. Though you do have people who believe that that's a healthy tactic. Personally, I don't think that works for me. So what I like to do when I'm um having bad thoughts or I'm having heated thoughts or I want to address somebody or approach somebody, I like to let my emotions calm down first. This is just how my mind and my heart work. I like to let my emotions and stuff calm down first. So that way, when I do address the situation, I can address it, not only address it, but get the get the best results out of it as well. You know what I'm saying? And actually go somewhere with it and raise a level of consciousness if possible. You know, so once I felt like I was at a calm, even though I was at a boiling point too, where I was at a point where I'm like, y'all, I feel like y'all gotta tell this man that. I gotta tell him something. So I go over there to the computer, go over there to where he's sitting at and stuff. Um, so I address him, say, excuse me, can I have a word with you? Check this out, y'all. He tried to act all weird and overly all overly busy all of a sudden. Um So as I'm speaking to him, so as I'm speaking to him, I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to like pull you up, or you know what I'm saying, mention some of my concerns, as far as like you and my kid, like, and me not feeling okay about it and stuff like that. Like I feel like you overly interacting with my kids. So he was like, so as I'm speaking with him, I realized that he ain't even looking at me. Okay, so let's check that right then and there at the door. Not check that out of arrogance, but check that out of respect. Um, First and foremost, let's show each other a bit of respect here. Respect for you, respect for me. You know what I'm saying? Um, he ain't even do none of that though. So he acting like he's super busy, but in all actuality, like because I'm on top of my game, I'm not under it or beneath. In all actuality, you're trying to shrink me. You're trying to shrink me as an individual, as a person, by not acknowledging me and by acting like you're still doing your work on a computer and stuff, and you really ain't as busy as you acting like you is. You're really fronting. You're faking. You're faking because you're inside of your pride and you're trying to make the next person feel small. Literally, literally, blatantly, and intentionally. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know certain behaviors when you see them and point them out and call them out, and know how to deal with them too. Don't let them control you. You know what I'm saying? So what I did is I addressed it. I said, like I'm talking to you, like yo, like you know, um. So he's like, yeah, I'm at my computer. I'm a little busy. I'm doing work and stuff like that. Um. So real quickly, proper etiquette. Just addressing proper etiquette. And we all grown. I'm 35. He looked like he about 40. He mid 40s. I'm gonna say mid 40s. You know, so white guy mid 40s. So just out of proper etiquette, let's just go there real briefly. A person addressing you and they saying, and they coming at you calmly, you know what I'm saying, and you doing your work and stuff like that, and they asking, can they have a minute with you? They asking you, can they have a minute with you? Proper etiquette. If you know that you can't give them your direct or immediate attention and stuff like that, proper etiquette, tell them to give you a moment. Tell them to give you a minute and you will be with them. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Tell them to give you a moment or give them you a minute. You know what I'm saying? Proper etiquette. This guy ain't do that. You know what I'm saying? People be so smart, man, but they leave a whole lot of things out about how they go about things. So it make you question things like, damn, is this really intentional? Because you acting like you're so smart that you got everything covered to a point to where I gotta suspect you or expect you to have everything covered and come at you as such. You know what I'm saying? Um, so he ain't wanna so now I got his attention because um he seemed a little disturbed now, like he seemed a little disturbed at my comments or whatever because I kept it real with him, like, like you being rude and disrespectful with the whole computer thing, like acting like you don't hear what's going on, whatever. So again, I addressed my concerns, which was my initial reason for going over there. Um, and again, he tried to dismiss it, the reverse psychology thing again, tried to dismiss it by asking me, well, give me an example. Now it's like he going into a debate. So now you want me to give you an example of of why I feel like you're overly interactive with my child. If that's how I feel, that's how I feel. This is my kid. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that this is the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth time that you done did it, and you know you did it, like where you've been dismissive and stuff like that, and now you're trying to be dismissive um in another way, Now that just make it a 10th time. Now it's like, come on, man. Now it's like, yo, it's part of your character at this point. So now I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm at a point where and I'll take accountability for this one. I'm at a point where um he's leading with his ego, and and I'm not making it no better by feeding into the ego. Now I'm in my ego because he in his ego. Now I'm in my ego, but that don't make it no better though. I'm putting a disclaimer on that because I speak to raise the level of consciousness. At the end of the day, that don't make it no better. You know what I'm saying? You don't never, scoop to nobody's level. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's like that, because now, believe it or not, if we want to be honest and technical, now they're in control. Whenever you do that, facts. You know what I'm saying? So, now I'm operating out of my ego and stuff like that. So, just so happened, um, one of the female librarians come in. Yeah, one of the women come in and stuff like that. They come in and they they hearing me and him go back and forth, and it's like they trying to get a clue of what's going on or idea of what's going on or whatever. So um I'm kind of walking away at this point. We still like going back and forth a little bit, but I'm at a because I'm not really big on the back and forth thing, whether it's with men or women. I'm not really big on the back. I don't want to argue with nobody. It just takes too much energy. Take too much energy, So it sounds like a lot, but it's really happened in a short time span. You know what I'm saying? This just a recap, but yeah, as we going back and stuff like that. So I'm walking away from the scene. I'm walking away because at this point I'm like, man, you clearly don't got no respect for me. Once I seen that he wasn't attentive to what I was saying the first time and all of that, that's what kind of led to the bickering of me and him back and forth and all of that. And then with him asking to give me a scenario or an example, all of that, like you need all of that, like how we get to the how we get to court, how we get to court with it. Why we gotta go to court about me feeling? Why I gotta feel like I'm in court about me addressing a guy about him overacting with my kid? Why I gotta be in court for that? And court is for this making a claim and winning. In order for it to be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Or okay, if that was the case, you know what I'm saying, I won't do that, or you know what I'm saying, or if that's the case, then maybe you should just be more involved in whatever. So so at this point, um, at this point, yeah, the women started talking. They started speaking up more and asking questions and stuff like that. He went off into a different area. Um, so the woman came over. I'm not gonna lie, she had a lot more reason. Like, it was two women at the time. So one of the women, they automatically on his side and all of that. Maybe because it's their co-worker. I don't know. Whatever reason. So she like, so I'm explaining the situation to them. I'm like, yeah, man, like I don't feel comfortable with him taking my kid, out of my eyesight and stuff like that. Like not actually taking them by the hand, but like luring them out of my eyesight. Luring them by grabbing their attention, whatever that attention may be in or toward, and taking them out of my eyesight like that. So I'm explaining it to him and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, at the end of the day, we live in two different worlds. Like, yeah, we may see each other at this library every day, but our realities is different. And I mean that. Yeah, our realities is different, man. Like, I'm not just any dad. I'm not just any father. I'm a black father. I'm a black man and a black father. It's a big difference. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm not saying that the guy mean any harm. This is what I'm telling them. This is the recap of what I'm telling them. I'm like, I'm not saying that the guy mean any harm or that he do or don't mean any harm. What I'm saying is I'm uncomfortable being that um, I don't know him from a hole in the wall and he just taking my kid over this way, that way, this way, that way. No. We ain't going for that. We ain't going for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm explaining to them, I'm like, um, yeah, like even though he work here and stuff, trust gotta be built, you know what I'm saying, and earned and stuff like that. Like, long story short, I'm uncomfortable. So she like, so one of them asking questions like, so what did he do that made you feel uncomfortable? Or how do you know that she was like, how do you know that he felt this way or that way? And I was like, at the end of the day, she was like, did he tell you this out of his own mouth? Um, that he didn't want to interact with your kids or wherever she was going with it. So I explained to her, I was like, at the end of the day, all communication ain't verbal. Most communication ain't verbal. So you got something called facial expressions as well. So so the other Liberian woman looked over there. She listening to us and stuff talking. She nodding her head in agreement with me, like yeah, yeah, right, makes sense. So the other one looking dumbfounded. I swear to God, she looking dumbfounded. I don't know why. She looking all dumbfounded and stuff, like she had a news flash or something. So so the woman that had the most reason and then was the um most compassionate or empathetic, she came over, she had a word with me and stuff like that. And we was able to like at least I felt like we got somewhere, but I'm just gonna keep it how it is, man. People be fronting. And you know what I'm saying? People be fronting in your face, you know what I'm saying? They act like they on your you know, I deal with the nature of individuals and and the chemistry. You know what I'm saying? So um the same way I sit here and keep it real and say, when you're dealing with a lot of white folks, they try to act one way in your face and then behind your back it's a whole different thing. That's just the realness of it. Just the same as I would sit here and say somebody that looked just like me would do the same thing. But I'm gonna call it like I see it anytime and every time I see it though. I'm not gonna try to excuse it. I'm not gonna try to overlook it. No, none of that. I'm gonna call it like it is, which is what I'm doing right now. So it seemed like we got somewhere. Behind closed doors, ain't no telling what she was saying. She's probably on their side or whatever. But in this very instance, in this very moment, you know what I'm saying, um she was empathetic as far as giving a listening ear, listening more than talking and stuff like that. Seemed like she was trying to get somewhere with it and, you know what I'm saying, get to the bottom line of it or whatever. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling her, I'm explaining it to her. I'm like, well, like just realistically, we haven't had the best relationships in this country. Like, I'm used to, I come from a background, or I come from a group of people who whose kids and stuff was once stolen from them and stuff like that, taken from them and stuff like that. So yes, as a not just as a father, but as a black father, I am hyper masculine about my kids. You know what I'm saying? And we are hyper masculine about our children and stuff like that. So expressing this to her and stuff like that. She like, yeah, I understand. You know what I'm saying? So she go on to tell me, she trying to give me a different she listening but trying to give me a different um angle as far as empathy goes, as far as how he may have been looking at it, which is why we could have possibly got on a bad foot from her point of view. So she like, well, you don't think, what about how he may have felt, he is in the Liberian guy. What about how he may have felt when you were knowing that you staring the whole time that he's interacting with your kid? What about how he may have felt? So what I hate is I didn't even, because I didn't want to make it sound like it was a back and forth bickering thing or argument thing. But what first came to my mind is, well, damn, you telling me about some shit, or you telling me about something that I'm way more familiar with than you are. Like when we go to a store or something like that, we as in black people, yes, when we go to a store or something like that, and that store is predominantly white folks, and they looking at you like, yo, like what you doing in here, and looking at you with everything, and like making you feel uncomfortable is my point. Same way the Chinese people do, and um, sometimes the Arabs, you know what I'm saying? Um, Giving you that close eye and watching you the whole time you in a camp, whole time you walking around the establishment. So as she's saying this to me, that's what I wanted to tell her, but I didn't even go there. So my point is, it's the empathy thing. Like it's like that's the same thing I told the dude before he had walked off. Like, yo, y'all incapable. You incapable of showing empathy. You incapable of that. This is why we don't. This is why we don't. This is why we where we at in America right now, as far as the state of black people who do believe in the system. The people who are in control, they are incapable of empathizing with us. It's not that they incapable of empathizing. They incapable of empathizing with us for whatever that reason is. That's another topic. But they incapable of empathizing with us. You know what I'm saying? So, um, and this is exactly why they'll want empathy, but they don't give none. They can never give none, but they always want some type of empathy or some type of justice. But they can never give none or give no empathy or no true or real concerns. And if you is, it's like you on trial, even if you right. Even if you in the right, it's like you on trial just to prove that you right about some shit you shouldn't even be on trial proving that you right about. Because it's like the fuck, anybody who got eyes can see this shit. You know what I'm saying? So we sit back. So I let her go ahead and stuff. I listened to her and stuff just to show a level of maturity. I listened to entertain what she was saying and stuff because she listened to me. So I gave her the same energy that she gave me. You know what I'm saying? So so after all of the emotions and stuff calmed down, it looked like the guy had walked off the job. I thought he quit or something like that. I'm like, oh well, maybe I hit a nerve or something so bad where he just walked off the job or something like that, or quit, or said, fuck this, whatever. You know how it be happening. So so about an hour and a half later, when stuff died down and stuff a little more, and I'm with my children and stuff, the lady come over and she had gave it, the lady that I was talking to, the one who had the most sense and reason, um, the white lady, when she came over there, I actually pulled her up and I said, I want to apologize to you. I want to apologize for the inconvenience, because at the end of the day, we got kids here and stuff like that. We a little, um, me and this guy, we bickering, going back and forth. It's small children here, and it's a library at the end of the day, you know. But I really didn't just pull her up to apologize for how I could have handled stuff better, or I really pulled her up to, you know what I'm saying, to give her a round of applause on how well she handled it, because how she handled it was in such a mature manner that I felt like that's the way in which me and him should have handled it. But instead, we was both in our ego. Me and him both, we was both in our ego. So, you know what I'm saying? I gave her a salute for that. And I gave her a round of applause. You know what I'm saying? I said that was what you did. You was the in that situation, um, you were the greater human. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to give her that because, as science would have it, um, women are expected to be more emotional and men are expected to be more rational and reasonable and stuff like that, more logical. But meanwhile, she the only one being sensible and stuff like that. And me and him, we sitting there, we going back and forth, clashing egos and stuff like that. Even though, you know what I'm saying, right is right and wrong is wrong, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can be in the right, but how you handle it might be wrong. So what I'm saying is we was clashing egos because at the end of the day, I was right about my case and what I was saying and what I'm saying, me feeling uncomfortable and all of that, but the approach could have been different. What I'm saying? Once I realized that he wasn't even, what I'm saying, respecting what I was saying, could have just handled it a different way type of thing. What I'm saying? So a lot of times, you gotta be careful of that. Like you can be right, but you can handle stuff the wrong way, and then it'll make you wrong. You become wrong, you become wrong just as much as you're right. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. What I'm saying? That's how you handle things. So all in all, I gave her kudos for that. You know, um, she expected she handled it like how us men had supposed to have handled it. So yeah. All in all, um, that's what I wanted to rap with y'all about today. Um, um, Want to know what y'all would have done, um, what you think I could have done or should have done, or what y'all think, what I'm saying, about the situation itself. You know, um, because in in hindsight, I got my own way of looking at it. I got a personal philosophy that I came up with. It's called the assessment. So what the assessment is, when you get in situations, especially situations like what I'm talking about right now, um, when you get in situations, and I came up with this assessment. I'm gonna mention why I came up with it first, because sometimes we beat ourselves up. We be beating ourselves up for stuff that we did, but we human at the end of the day. Like we gotta keep growing and we gotta keep learning, long as we not repeating the same mistakes. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes we beat ourselves up instead of um, just taking the L from it. And when I say the L from it, I don't mean the loss. I mean the lesson. So I came up with a philosophy called the assessment. So with the assessment, when you do get in any situation, um, always think about, always ask yourself in hindsight, always ask yourself, and this can be the littlest situation or the biggest situation, whatever. Always ask yourself first, um, what was the worst thing you did in the situation? Um, what was the best thing you did in the situation? And what is the lesson that you take from it? That's the assessment. So and just doing a personal assessment for myself in this particular situation, I would say um, the worst thing I did, the worst thing I did was um, match his ego. That's the worst thing I did, because as we all know, your power lies in your ability to control your emotions. Once someone has command over your inner world, they become your master. So that was the worst thing I did. Um, Allowing myself to clash egos with him. I should have just deaded that. Once I seen that his ego was there, just deaded that. Even if that meant just spinning off and going to higher up about the situation, just deaded that. The best thing I did in the situation, um, best thing I did was to decide to stop talking to him about it. You know what I'm saying? Once I realized that he was disrespectful, and he ain't really have no genuine concerns, and I walked off, that was the best thing I did. Versus standing there and keep going back and forth with somebody who want to debate and who really don't want to bring nothing of the situation. So that was the best thing. Um, um, the lesson I would say I learned from it would be um, um, at the end of the day, man, just don't 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 overlook things and don't underlook things. You know what I'm saying? What I could have the lesson for me would definitely be um don't clash, don't think first and react with patience. React with patience. I know people like, well, yeah, the patience and stuff be overrated sometimes and stuff like that. And sometimes when you in the heat of the moment and stuff, you don't always think about every little best thing to do and stuff like that. And you know, but at the end of the day, what people don't think about is these things come with practice. So the more you practice something, you get better at it. And then when you do get in these situations, you already prepared for it because you already ready for it. You know what I'm saying? So practice. You know, yeah, man. But that's what I take from it, man. Um, patience, man. Um, Definitely having the patience. Because if I didn't have the patience, I would have probably addressed it the first time. Would have addressed it the first time, man. And situational awareness too. I take that from it too. Situational awareness too. Um, Once I realized, I take that from it too. I think that's more of a lesson right there. Once I realized all of these things that I'm talking about in hindsight, which is I was realizing it right then and there too when it was happening a third, fourth, and fifth time. Once I realized he didn't really want to interact with my kid and stuff like that, and once I realized that he kept making the insinuations and kept doing the reverse psychology, I should have just interacted with my child more. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lesson that I take from it too. Um, that way it can exclude him out of the picture. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, all in all, man, that's my rap for today, man. Kila Lahiri, and peace and blessings to y'all.